Before you invest even 1 shilling of your 1 million, you must determine your investor personality. Your personality determines whether MMFs, Treasury Bills, or SACCOs will grow your money fastest, and choosing the wrong one can cost you months or even years of progress. Let me ask you 3 simple questions and please answer them honestly. Question 1. Do you want quick access to your money, daily returns, and low stress? If yes, you're an MMF person. Question 2. Do you want maximum safety, predictable returns, and no drama? If yes, you're a Treasury Bill person. Question 3. Do you want high long-term dividends, to be part of a cooperative, and don't mind slower liquidity? If yes, you're a SACCO person. This identity test tells you where 50% of your 1 million Kenyan shillings should go. Now let's explore the investment options. Understanding the investment options, MMF, T-bills and SACCOs. Investment option number 1, MMFs. What is a money market fund? An MMF is a pooled investment that invests in short-term, low-risk assets such as Treasury bills, commercial paper, and secure bonds. Think of it as a parking spot where your cash earns interest daily. MMFs publish an annualized rate, but returns are calculated daily. The rate can change depending on market conditions, especially the Central Bank of Kenya interest rate shifts. With MMFs, you can access your money quickly, often the same day or the next day. There's a myth that MMFs pay the same rate every day. The rate actually adjusts. When the Central Bank of Kenya raises rates, MMF yields rise, and when the Central Bank of Kenya lowers rates, MMF yields drop. For example, if you put 1 million Kenyan shillings in an MMF earning 15% annualized, that's roughly 410 Kenyan shillings per day. But if rates drop to 13%, that daily return changes immediately. Here's the breakdown. Investment option number 2, T-bills. What are Treasury bills? A Treasury bill is a short-term loan to the Kenyan government. Instead of receiving interest monthly, you buy the bill at a discount and receive the full amount at maturity. Here is how they work. You lend money for 91, 182, or 364 days. You pay less upfront and get 1 million shillings at maturity. You can bid competitively or non-competitively, and the return is taxed immediately at 15%. For example, you might pay 850,000 Kenyan shillings for a 364-day T-bill and get 1 million Kenyan shillings at maturity. Your return is fixed, predictable, and backed by the government. Keep in mind that T-bills don't give you access before maturity, so they're great for medium-term goals but not for emergencies. Investment option number 3, SACCOs. What are SACCOs? A SACCO is a member-owned cooperative where you contribute money, the SACCO lends it out, and you earn dividends, usually annually. Dividends range from 8% to 12%, sometimes higher, and depend on loan book quality, which is not guaranteed. However, liquidity can be slow, 30 to 90 days, or longer. For example, if you want your entire 1 million Kenyan shillings urgently, you may have to wait almost a year to access it from your SACCO. And then there's the share capital trap. You can't easily withdraw share capital. It's meant to stay in the SACCO to maintain membership. If you withdraw it, approval can take months. Now that you understand the investment options, MMFs for liquidity, T-bills for stability, and SACCOs for long-term dividends, it's time to see which one actually grows your 1 million Kenyan shillings fastest. I'm going to simulate all 3 investment options, including compounding, taxes, reinvestment risk, and liquidity penalties. The growth simulation, 1 million Kenyan shillings compared. Before we simulate, let's standardize everything, because assumptions are the reason most online advice fails. Let's start with money market funds. Money market funds usually give 13 to 15% annualized returns, but the rate can change monthly. The big advantage is that they compound every month, meaning your money earns interest on interest. And if you need cash, you can get it the same day. Next, 364-day T-bill. The 364-day T-bill return is fixed at 15 to 16%. However, you only get the payout at maturity. So no monthly growth here, but the certainty is attractive. If you want guaranteed returns without worrying about rate fluctuations, T-bills could be an ideal option. And lastly, SACCOs. With SACCOs, dividends are paid once a year, usually 8 to 12%. They don't compound automatically, so you need to reinvest the payout to see growth. Withdrawals can take 30 to 90 days, depending on your SACCO rules. SACCOs are great for long-term savers who don't need instant access. Tax and liquidity comparison. Taxes and liquidity matter just as much as returns. MMFs and T-bills are taxed at 15%, SACCOs only 5%. And while MMFs are instant access, T-bills lock you in, and SACCOs take 30 to 90 days. Now that we're all on the same page, let's simulate the lump sum. Case 1, lump sum 1 million Kenyan shillings. Growth simulation number 1, money market fund 1 million projection after 3 years. Did you know that just a small difference in interest rates can make a huge difference over time? Let's break this down using a money market fund. Imagine you invest 1 million shillings, and the fund earns 15% per year, compounding monthly. After 3 years, your money doesn't just grow a little, it grows to about 1.52 million shillings. Now, let's be conservative, maybe the rate is only 13%. That same 1 million shillings would only grow to around 1.45 million shillings after 3 years. Since MMFs compound monthly, I calculated each year using monthly compounding. Here is the formula. Where P equals principal, R equals annual interest rate, and T equals years. At 15%, your 1 million grows to 1.16 million in year 1. And at 13%, it only reaches 1.14 million. In year 2, your 1 million grows to 1.35 million at 15% and to 1.3 million at 13%. In year 3, your 1 million grows to 1.52 million at 15% and to 1.45 million at 13%. Growth simulation number 2, Treasury bill 1 million projection after 3 years. Unlike some investments, T-bills don't compound unless you reinvest. But the return is stable and predictable, you know your final value before you invest. That means your money grows steadily, not magically overnight. The 15.5% T-bill rate is pre-tax. After tax, your net return is about 13.175%. Let's break it down step by step so it's clear how I got from 15.5% to 13.175% after tax. In Kenya, interest income from Treasury bills is taxed at 15%. Now, apply the tax to the annual rate. This is the formula for after-tax return. Here, pre-tax return equals 15.5%, which is 0.155, and tax rate equals 15%, which is 0.15 after converting back to a decimal. Therefore, after-tax return equals 0.155 times 1 minus 0.15. Let's do the calculation. 0.155 times 0.85 equals 0.13175. Next, convert back to a percentage. 0.13175 times 100 equals 13.175. So 15.5% gross equals 13.175% net after 15% tax. This table shows how 1 million Kenyan shillings grows to roughly 1.45 million over 3 years at 13.175% after tax T-bill returns. In year 1, you start with 1 million Kenyan shillings. At 13.175% after tax, your money grows by 131,750 Kenyan shillings. By the end of the year, you now have 1,131,750 Kenyan shillings. Steady and predictable. In year 2, your new starting point is 1,131,750 Kenyan shillings. Again, at 13.175%, you earn about 149,096 Kenyan shillings. That brings your total to 1,280,846 Kenyan shillings. Notice how your growth is getting bigger each year. That's the power of reinvesting your interest. In year 3, your starting amount is 1,280,846 Kenyan shillings. With 13.175% growth, you earn 168,684 Kenyan shillings. At the end of the 3rd year, your 1 million shillings has grown to roughly 1.45 million Kenyan shillings. Not the fastest growth, but very predictable. This calculation assumes you reinvest the interest each year. So after 3 years, your 1 million Kenyan shillings grows to about 1.45 Kenyan million shillings. It's not the fastest growth, but it's predictable, and you sleep peacefully because the rate is locked in. Growth simulation number 3, SACCO 1 million projection after 3 years. SACCO returns depend on how well the SACCO is managed. Unlike some other investments, SACCO dividends are paid only once a year. However, you earn on both your share capital and the money you deposit for savings. The dividend range is usually 8 to 12%. So after 5% withholding tax on SACCOs, that's about 7.6 to 11.4%. To calculate the after-tax dividend, you multiply the dividend by 1 minus tax rate. Here is the formula. Let's first calculate the lower end, 8%. Next, let's calculate the upper end, 12%. So after 5% tax, the dividend range becomes 7.6% to 11.4%. Simulation table: 1 million Kenyan shillings to 1,330,000 Kenyan shillings in 3 years at 10% dividend. This table shows how 1 million Kenyan shillings grows to 1.33 Kenyan million in 3 years at a 10% annual dividend. I assume dividends are paid once per year and reinvested. In year 1, you start with 1 million Kenyan shillings. At a 10% dividend, you earn 100,000 Kenyan shillings. Add that to your initial amount, and by the end of the year, you have 1.1 million Kenyan shillings. In year 2, your starting amount is 1.1 million Kenyan shillings. Another 10% dividend gives you 110,000 Kenyan shillings. After adding it, your total grows to 1.21 million Kenyan shillings. In year 3, you begin at 1.21 million Kenyan shillings. A 10% dividend adds 121,000 Kenyan shillings. By the end of year 3, your investment grows to about 1.33 million Kenyan shillings. And that's how a steady 10% dividend compounds over 3 years. Remember, SACCO returns can vary each year depending on management quality, so some years might be a little lower or higher. Here is a projection chart comparing MMFs, T-bills, and SACCOs across 3 years. After simulating the lump sum of 1 million Kenyan shillings, let's now see what happens when you add 20,000 Kenyan shillings every month to MMFs, T-bills, or SACCOs. Case 2, 20,000 Kenyan shillings monthly top-up. With MMFs, compounding really accelerates. Every 20,000 Kenyan shillings you add starts working for you immediately. T-bills don't allow random monthly deposits. Your 20,000 Kenyan shillings sits aside until the next auction, then it gets reinvested. When it comes to SACCO, every extra 20,000 Kenyan shillings you add increases your share capital. And that increases the base used to calculate dividends. The growth starts slowly, but long-term, it can become massive. So which approach suits you? Fast growth, steady stability, or long-term loyalty? MMFs win for short-term growth plus liquidity, T-bills win for predictability plus stability, and SACCOs win for long-term dividend compounding power. How to allocate your 1 million Kenyan shillings wisely? You've seen the numbers, but here's the truth: the fastest growing option might still be the wrong option for you. Before you choose MMFs, T-bills, or SACCOs, you need clarity. Let's figure out your perfect investment mix based on your goals, your personality, and your timeline. Use this checklist. What is your goal? Is it growth, stability, saving for a house, or building passive income? When do you need the money? 6 months, 1 year, 3 years? Or 10 years? How much volatility can you take? Can you handle MMF rate changes? Or do you prefer the fixed nature of T-bills? How often will you top up? Monthly top-ups change everything. Can you wait for dividends? SACCOs pay once a year, delayed gratification is required. Do you prefer liquidity or lock-in? Are you okay waiting 1 year for T-bills or even 90 days for SACCO withdrawals? Your answers to these 6 questions will tell you more than any influencer ever will. Now let's talk about the liquidity ladder strategy. Let me show you a simple strategy that balances liquidity and growth, something I call the liquidity ladder. Top rung, MMF. This is your emergency plus opportunity fund. It's liquid, flexible, and compounds monthly. Perfect for the money you may need at short notice. Middle rung, T-bills. These are your 1 to 3 year goals. They offer stability, fixed returns, and low stress. Bottom rung, SACCO. This is long-term wealth. Think dividend growth, community ownership, and patient capital. Not money you'll need next year, money for your future self. Every strong Kenyan portfolio sits on these 3 levels. Here is a practical example. Imagine you've just received your 1 million Kenyan shillings bonus and you're excited because you can now invest it. Because you want your money to grow fast, you put all of it into SACCO share capital. A year later, you find the perfect house, and you need the deposit immediately. But the SACCO requires board approval to release your shares. So you wait 2 months. Then 5 months. Then 11 months. By the time the money is released, the house is gone. And the most regretful thing is that you didn't lose money, you lost time. How many of us have committed such mistakes? Raise your hand. Never put short-term money in long-term vehicles. Once you've figured out your investment purpose, comment "I know my why." This alone will save you from so many costly mistakes. Sample 1 million Kenyan shillings allocation model. Model 1, Balanced Investor. This balances stability, liquidity, and long-term growth. Model 2, for moderate risk takers. In this model, T-bills and liquidity protect the higher SACCO exposure. Before investing your 1 million Kenyan shillings, follow this 4-step investment plan. Step 1, define your goal. What exactly are you trying to achieve? Step 2, identify your liquidity needs. How quickly might you need access to this money? Step 3, allocate your 1 million using the liquidity ladder, MMF for flexibility, T-bill for stability, SACCO for long-term dividends. Step 4, review quarterly. Rates change, opportunities appear, and life evolves. Your plan should evolve too. Here is the final verdict. So who's the real winner? If you want the fastest short-term growth, go for MMFs and T-bills. If you prefer long-term growth, SACCOs may be ideal for you, and if your goal is an all-round portfolio, a combination of all three may be a great option. There is no single best investment, only the best one for your goals. And when you combine these three smartly, your money grows faster, safer, and with far less stress.